Has the world's most beloved idol finally decided the cheers of fans are no longer worth acknowledging? Could the soft-spoken singer who once stopped traffic to sign a single autograph be slipping into an untouchable sphere where no amount of devotion can pierce the armor? These are not idle questions. They're the questions surging like an unstoppable current through every corner of the internet after a clip, just 10 seconds long, shattered the illusion of perfect fan service that has followed Kim Taehyung, better known as V from BTS, since the day he first stepped onto a stage. It all started under the white glare of Parisian streetlights. In the moments after Taehyung emerged from a private entrance at the luxurious L'Arc Paris nightclub. You can see it in the video. The small crowd of fans pressed against the barricades, their voices trembling with the shock of seeing him in person. They are not merely shouting, they are pleading. Hands stretched forward as if they might bridge the impossible gap between idol and audience. A name is called out over and over, high and breaking with desperation. And in the middle of it all stands Taehyung, his face impassive, his eyes fixed somewhere far beyond the chaos, as if the love that once defined him has become invisible. What happened in that moment? Did he truly not hear the cries, muffled by the heavy bass still throbbing through the nightclub walls? Did fatigue after hours of appearances finally dull his instincts to wave, to smile, to show that flicker of recognition that has always kept the bond with his fans alive? Or has something deeper, something no one dares to say out loud, begun to change the man himself? Before you dismiss this as a simple misunderstanding, look again. Play the video frame by frame. You will see the way his gaze slides across the line of outstretched arms without pausing. You will notice the faint, unmistakable downturn of his mouth as the security guard ushers him forward. You will feel the chill in the air as the door of his waiting car closes, softly, finally, between him and the voices still calling his name. Has fame finally changed him? This is not the first time such a question has haunted the fandom. Ever since Taehyung's return from military service last month, there has been a sense, impossible to prove, impossible to ignore, that something essential has shifted. His presence, once so open, so willing to engage, now feels sealed behind a pane of polished glass. The same gestures remain, the polite nods, the perfect posture, the subtle courtesy that has always marked him as different from other celebrities. And yet, the warmth seems to have cooled. If you read the thousands of comments flooding every platform where the footage circulates, you will see the same heartbreak repeated in 100 languages. He didn't even look at us. I waited 6 hours, and he never waved. When did we stop mattering? Those are not the words of casual observers. They are the words of people who have given years, some entire decades, of their lives to loving him. People who bought albums and concert tickets, who defended him against every malicious rumor, who believed, fiercely and without question, that he would always see them. How did we get here? To understand the depth of this fracture, you must remember what Taehyung once meant to the people calling his name in that Parisian street. For many fans, he was not just an idol but a source of hope, proof that kindness and gentleness could survive in an industry built on exhaustion and ruthless competition. His early reputation for stopping to greet even a single supporter, for acknowledging even the smallest sign in a stadium, became a cornerstone of the legend that grew around him. And now, in the cold clarity of that video, all of it seems to hang in the balance. Some defenders have rushed forward to contextualize the footage. They say he was exhausted after back-to-back events. They point out that the noise from the nightclub was deafening, that he may have been shielded by his team precisely to avoid being overwhelmed. These explanations are not without merit. Any star of his magnitude must navigate moments where self-preservation takes precedence over accessibility, but others, perhaps more honest in their disappointment, are asking questions that cut deeper. Why, if exhaustion was the reason, did he not offer a simple wave? Why, if he could not stop, did he not even glance back once before the door closed? And why does this moment feel, to so many who have loved him the longest, like a confirmation of something they were already afraid to admit? Has he outgrown them? It is an accusation so painful that many refuse to say it outright. But beneath the speculation and rationalization, there is a truth no one can escape. The bond between Taehyung and his fans has always depended on the belief that he sees them, that their love is not just fuel for his career but something he holds sacred. And in that narrow alleyway in Paris, under lights too harsh to hide anything, that belief cracked. Of course, Taehyung himself has not spoken. No statement has been issued to clarify or apologize. In the silence, the speculation has become its own ecosystem, self-sustaining, relentless. Each hour that passes without a response feels like proof to some that he no longer cares, while others argue that his refusal to engage is itself a sign of how much the constant demands have drained him. Who is right? Perhaps the most unsettling possibility is that no single explanation can contain the complexity of a moment like this. Fame, after all, is not a simple transaction. It is a living, breathing organism that evolves whether you want it to or not. When Taehyung was younger, when the world still saw him as the wide-eyed boy with the deep voice and the shy smile, there was room for connection. The line between artist and audience felt permeable. The boundary between performer and person sometimes vanished entirely. But as the years passed, as the expectations multiplied, that line hardened into something immovable. And the cost of crossing it, even for a moment, grew higher than most will ever understand. If you look closely, you will see the same story repeated in every generation of stars. A time comes when the love that once lifted them becomes too heavy to bear. When the desire to be everything to everyone collapses under its own impossible weight. I ask that what we are seeing now. In the footage, Taehyung looks both regal and unreachable, a figure sculpted by years of discipline and projection. He is no longer simply a young man walking to his car. He is an empire in human form, burdened by the expectations of millions. And in that context, the choice to look straight ahead, to keep moving, to let the door close without a final acknowledgement, feels almost inevitable. But inevitability does not lessen the pain. For the fans who traveled across oceans, who waited for hours in the summer heat, who held signs and gifts and trembling hopes, the moment was not a necessity. It was a betrayal. They're the ones who are left to reconcile two conflicting truths: that the man they love may still care deeply, and that he may no longer be able, or willing, to show it in the ways he once did. And that is perhaps the most human reality of all. Has fame finally changed him? Or has fame simply revealed that no one, not even Taehyung, can sustain the illusion of perfect reciprocity forever? As the debate rages on, one fact remains undeniable. This is not just another piece of celebrity gossip. It is a reckoning. A moment when the myth of perfect devotion collided with the reality of human limitation. And in the aftermath, everyone, fans, critics, even Taehyung himself, must decide what comes next. If you scroll through the endless stream of posts that erupted in the hours after the clip surfaced, you will see something that feels almost like mourning. It is not the outrage of casual onlookers. It is the heartbreak of people who built a piece of their identity on the belief that Taehyung was different. That even as he rose to levels of fame no idol in this generation has matched, he would never become untouchable. And so they watch, over and over, as he moves past them. Face composed, eyes unblinking. They search for any sign that the moment was a misunderstanding. A flicker of recognition in the last frame. The slightest tremor in his hand as he lifts it to his jacket. But the more they look, the more convinced they become that there is nothing to find. And perhaps that is what hurts the most. When did he stop seeing them? To understand how powerful that question has become, you must look back, not just to the early days of BTS, but to the precise way Taehyung's connection to fans evolved over the years. There was a time when he was not simply admired, but adored with an intensity that often frightened those on the outside. His fans called themselves ARMY not only because the label's marketing insisted on it, but because their devotion felt like an unbreakable force. They were the ones who stayed up through the night to stream every music video, who flooded social media with trending hashtags whenever he appeared, who bought out entire inventories of merchandise just to prove their loyalty. And in return, they believed he saw them, not as numbers, but as people. That belief was reinforced again and again by countless small moments that felt impossibly intimate. The way he used to lean down during concerts to take letters from shaking hands, the way he'd laugh, at a fan's homemade sign as if it were the only thing in the room. The way he once paused mid-sentence at a fan meeting, voice catching with emotion, to say simply, "Thank you for staying," for years. That phrase echoed through the fandom like a promise. A quiet assurance that no matter how enormous the stage grew, he would always remember the faces in the crowd. And yet, in that Paris street, that promise felt as though it had dissolved. Was it exhaustion? Was it strategy? Or was it something no one dares to say aloud? That the time has come for Taehyung to protect what little space remains between himself and the expectations that threaten to consume him. If you ask those who work closest to him, the ones who must manage not just his schedule but the emotional toll of carrying so much public attention, they will tell you that no star emerges from this scale of fame unchanged. They will tell you that there are days when the adoration feels like a gift and days when it feels like a cage. They will tell you that over time, even the kindest heart must choose when to engage and when to retreat. And perhaps that is the truth no one wants to accept, that no matter how much love you give, no matter how sincere your devotion, there comes a moment when an idol must choose their own survival over your validation. But knowing this does not make it easier to watch the footage. There is something about the finality of the car door closing that feels almost symbolic. A boundary drawn not out of cruelty, but necessity. A line that says, "I cannot be everything to everyone, not anymore." And for some fans, that line feels like abandonment that I in the comments beneath every upload of the video. You can see the rawness of their grief. One user wrote, "I thought he cared about us." Another replied simply, "He used to smile." Now he doesn't even look up. These are not the voices of entitlement. They are the voices of heartbreak, because for all the criticism fans receive, accused of being too intense, too demanding, too emotional, it is easy to forget that their love was the scaffolding on which Taehyung built his career. Their voices filled the arenas. Their purchases drove the record sales that broke records no Korean act had ever dreamed of touching. Their faith kept him at the top of every trending topic, every award nomination, every measure of success the industry recognizes. And when that love is met with silence, when it feels as though it no longer matters, it is impossible not to question whether the connection was ever as real as they believed.